So I just made the video about the power of having nothing, which made me think about a comment I had left saying something to that effect like, if you come from perfection, you would have to exist or live through imperfections to find the understanding of what perfection is, some shit like that. And so this bitch replied, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say this bitch. Who knows? Could be a nice old lady or a 500-pound man. Who fucking knows? You know what I'm saying? I imagine it to be a bitch though. You know what I'm saying? So she wrote some shit like, duality is a myth. I don't need to rumble through trash in order to know a rose smells pretty. So I wrote back, that's true. Some people do need to go through trash. Some people don't. That's the beauty of all this shit. Because it's all in your perception, you know what I'm saying? So in her mind, maybe duality don't exist, you know what I'm saying? But then the more I thought about it, I thought of a couple of things. Like, number one, she wrote a reply to a comment made by a figment of her imagination. What I mean by that is, if you are the sole observer of your reality, and she viewed that comment, she imagined who Ben Beyond One was making that. So she perceived that message to be a certain way, so she replied to it. But in all actuality, she only replied to her own perception of the comment. So even in that instance, the person who wrote the original comment, which would be me, was her. Does that make sense? Because she don't know who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying? Even if I was talking to the bitch right now, she would still imagine a character of who she thought I was. Which means that character that she's coming up with is her. You know what I'm saying? Because it's coming from her perspective. So anyway, that was one thing. And then I thought, like, well, the only reason you know that a rose smells pretty is because you know what stink smell like. So I was confused as fuck. And then I thought further, well, if a rose doesn't smell good or bad, stinky or pretty, then why the fuck you smelling the rose? See, that's where she got it fucked up. It ain't about the scent of the rose, good or bad. It's the fact it need to be one or the other just to make you interact with it. That's life. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what shit is good or bad. You just need to interact with it. Just exist. Just live. You know what I'm saying? Because if everything was perfect, there'd be no reason to exist. If it didn't smell good or bad, there'd be no reason to smell the rose. It wouldn't have no purpose to be here. You know what I'm saying? As far as smelling it goes, motherfuckers say, well, you know, the bees got to pollinate. Like, right. But this, we speaking in analogies right there, you know what I mean? You know, you might have some. I'll be like, well, what we here for then? If it, you know, if good or bad, none of that shit don't exist. Or we just here. Well, in order for you to be here, there had to be nothing. So it's still a duality. The whole reason we can have this conversation Or I could even be talking into this camera. The whole reason why we here, because it had to be nothing. I guess that makes sense. This shit was funny. And the real truth of the shit is that I really was writing all that shit to really just entertain myself while I was sitting on the side of the road waiting on niggas to get traffic control up. Cause I almost text that shit, well, let me get back to work, you know what I'm saying? And I know this shit look crazy. Niggas be like, man, this nigga losing his fucking mind, dog. Like if I was sitting in front of some fucking scientists or doctors, they was like, this nigga is wrapped up in a self-made delusion, you know what I'm saying? And they could tell me that shit. But my self-made delusion will insist that none of that shit matters because I'm nothing anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like I cannot escape this shit. It's funny as fuck, man. But I assure you, from my perception, I am sane as fuck. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say maybe this shit makes sense to people. Maybe it don't. Makes sense to me. I don't want to say that's all I give a fuck about, but you know what I mean? It makes sense to me. I don't know. I always just say I ain't even really making these videos for nobody. I'm just putting it out there. Something telling me to just put it out there. Who finds it, finds it. Take from it whatever you need. And like I said before, what you don't want, leave on the floor. That's that fucking simple. Keep it moving. It's all good, you know what I'm saying? No worries or judgment, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but smell the roses.